to do. In other words, you want to just do individual coaching, or you're really doing this just to have the credential, or for whatever reason, then you're done. And of course, you're free to go. But if you'd like to discuss how to get a class off the ground, marketing, etc., then we're happy to stay on and discuss that with you. Good? All right. Awesome. Okay. Good, guys. So we're going to mute ourselves. And why don't we start our introductions? And we're going to start with Denise, if that's okay. And then we're going to go around to Freddie and Kai. We're missing Carly. That's okay. And then Kendall and Matt and Zoili and Taekanda. And just tell if I mispronounced anyone's name, I apologize. Just correct me. Tell me what I mispronounced, and we'll fix it. Okay, so we're going to start with Denise, and we're going to mute ourselves. And Denise has the floor.
All right. My name's Denise Losh. I live in Missouri, southern Missouri, about a half an hour from Arkansas, right in the central part, in the Ozarks. So we have a little hills, not real mountains. Been jump roping since, as a kid I did it, and then in high school I kind of got serious with it to keep in shape, and then kind of waxed and waned throughout my years. I'm about Tim's age, I believe, so I'm a little older. I am not necessarily, the reason I kind of wanted to do this, or had started this, was I am a Weight Watcher or WW coach, even though that's kind of changed with the pandemic. But I had kind of thought, I wouldn't mind doing a cruise. And that's one of the things is they talked about people that wanted to apply. I just thought jump roping, because it's short, you don't have to do an hour of, just trying to get people active. So I kind of thought to get a certificate there would probably help me get on a cruise. Now, how long that's going to take or what that'll ever happen again, I don't know. But I also work in the healthcare field. So, and work with the wellness coordinator there because of Weight Watchers. So I probably will kind of go that route and see if they would be interested in me doing some classes at work. I work at a hospital system. So, and with the pandemic and all, it's be nice to get people a little more active, a little more in shape, et cetera, et cetera. That it?
Great. Perfect. Thank you,
wonderful.
Denise. That's awesome. And actually, Punk Rope back in the day was featured in Weight Watchers magazine a number of years ago. I can try to find that citation for you, but that's wonderful. Thank you so much. That's great. And Freddie.
Hello, everyone. I'm Freddie from Lancaster, California. I've been jumping since I was 12 years old. It's a long time ago, way back. And I just enjoy jump roping. That's one of my main core exercises that I do on a regular basis. I've taught so many kids, athletes from college, from high school. And that's what I want to do. I want to have a certification so that they could see that I'm studied and I know what I'm doing. And that's basically what I want to do, just teach kids how to jump properly and just to explode in their sports, whether it's track and field or baseball or softball or whatever it is. But I'm just excited about this whole class today. Thank you.
Thanks, Freddie. That's awesome. That was fantastic. And again, just a little note, for about 15 years, Punk Rope has been an official vendor of the New York City Department of Education. So one of the things that any of you can consider is teaming up with a local school district or a specific school or a private school, independent school, what have you. But thanks, Freddie. That's great. And Kai is next.
Hey everyone, Kai O'Neill, and I am in Fountain Hills, Arizona. And oh gosh, I don't even know where to begin. I love you guys so much, and it's so good to see you. I've known Tim and Shana a long time, and originally got certified, I think about 12 years ago. And I love rope jumping. I have since the minute, well, not the minute I picked up a jump rope, but soon after. And, it just brought fun back in fitness. I taught punk rope for quite a few years at a YMCA I worked at in Massachusetts. And, I do my own brand here. I always say, Father, I love to skip hills. That's what we do. And, but I do hope to get into the Department of Education here, because a lot of our kids are suffering from depression, and you know what, this stuff works. And anyway, just wanted to freshen up my skills and also get those ACE credits before they expire. But I'm so happy to see you guys and happy to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Kai. It's great to see you too. I can't believe it's been that many years. And that means I am very old, you guys. So, because I was old when I met Kai the first time. Wonderful. And then we have Kendall.
Hi, guys. I am Kendall. I am in Metro Atlanta. This is a hobby, part-time gig for me. I am a group fitness instructor. I've been teaching boot camp classes for 2 years. I'm finally getting certification. And next, I got internal training to do that. But and I'm also working on my health coach certification. Not sure what I want to do with it yet. I have been testing out a jump rope class, a format that I like. It's a mix between jump rope and HIIT. I've done it the last 2 weeks and got good feedback. I did my certification videos, I guess, a couple of weeks ago now, Tim. So I plan to continue doing a jump rope HIIT class where I work now. And then I do double dutch. I go to a double dutch studio. And so I think I'm gonna start teaching there as well. And then I have a neighborhood boot camp in the works. So I may introduce jump rope in my outdoor boot camp in the neighborhood. So I'm excited to be here. I do a lot of fitness things, but one of the things I do is CrossFit, and jump roping is my favorite part of CrossFit. So happy to be here. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you, Kendall. That's fantastic. Now I'm guessing, is it double Dutch aerobics?
Yes, they're out there from Brooklyn.
Yes, they are. They're wonderful.
Yes, my favorite. I try to go 3 times a week. Sometimes I go 4. But yeah, great. I just went yesterday. So fun.
Great. That's great. And for all you guys, punk rope, the fitness class, is a combination of jump rope and HIIT. And it's been that way for 16 years since we started. And we do a class every Tuesday night on Zoom, but it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if that works for you, by all means, come as our guest sometime. Even if you don't want to participate, if you just want to see how a class looks on Zoom, we would be more than happy to have you. And next up, we've got Matt.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matt. I'm an educator, an international educator. I'm currently in Mexico, Chapala, Mexico, which is Jalisco, if anybody's been to Mexico before, outside of Guadalajara. So I'm about an hour outside of Guadalajara. I am a part-time exercise person. I definitely don't do it professionally. I used to teach karate for, I don't even know, 20 years, something like that. So I've always kind of been in shape, but unfortunately I turned 40 and now I work behind a desk. And the reality is I'm not in the shape that I used to be in. So my goal for this coming year is to do a triathlon. So I figured in the meantime, I mean, I live in an area that has beautiful weather year round. So I have no training issues, but I've been integrating jump rope and into my schedule so that I can get into better shape. So anyway, that's basically me. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. And I look forward to hearing all of your experiences and hearing you guys teach.
Thanks, Matt. That's awesome. Back in the day, we had a triathlete who was on the faculty at University of New Hampshire, and he was a real data-driven guy. And he did an experiment where he cut back on some of his running and substituted rope jumping, and his times got faster and faster and faster. Ed Harvey is his name. Really cool guy. So hopefully, jump rope's going to work well for you too.
Yeah, my background is biology. So I was a biologist in the States. So I'm also a data-driven, slightly obsessed person. So yeah, I was just reading some studies on that. So hopefully that does help. So
Absolutely, that's great. And actually, we're working with another triathlete now in Richmond, Virginia, and he's enjoying it. Sometimes it's frustrating, but he's enjoying it. And we have Taekwondo.
You're unmuted now. Yeah.
I'm unmuted already.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my name is Seconda. I'm from South Carolina, South Carolina, and I'm actually certified through Double Dutch Aerobics with Shana and Michelle. I have been certified with them like over 3 years. So I had wanted to, have single rope included along with my certification with them. So that's the reason why I signed up for punk rope.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. It's a great combination. You're kind of
We've seen people do
double dose.
Do the single rope in one rope. I don't remember if it was double Dutch, but
Single rope inside double Dutch. Yeah, yeah. That's taking it to the next level.
I just did that maybe like 3 weeks ago.
Well, yeah, fun, right? Yeah.
I had a sneaking suspicion.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And you know what, guys? What we just missed, but I'm going to give you a heads up for next year is every year, right around this time, about a week prior, is the Double Dutch competition at the Apollo in Harlem. And we've been a few times, not to compete. We're not that good. But we've been to watch, and it is amazing.
It's not that we can't do double Dutch at all.
We've tried. But anyway, and we have next, we have Zoily.
Hi, do you listen to me? All right. Well, I'm Solimar. I'm from Venezuela. I am 38 years old. I invite here a friend called Elio. If you don't understand something, we can ask him because he's going to help me to translate what I'm saying. Sorry for my bad English. Well, I jump rope since I was in the school. I love it at all, but I seriously jump rope since 5-6 years ago, and I don't have any certification about fitness or sports. I am medical technologist and makeup artist. This will be my first certification, but all my life I've been practicing sport, tennis, volleyball, and I've been doing exercise in the gym, Zumba class. I love it. I really love it, and I want this. I want the certification because I want to start to give classes in gyms. I gave classes a few years ago, but I want to do it in gyms of another target or big gyms, and I know I can do it. with your help, with your certification, I've been practicing a lot. I love it. And I know it's really new. Jump rope is new in Venezuela. I don't know how to say it. It's new. There is not too many people teaching jump rope. There is not exist, and I want to be the first doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoila. That's awesome. And I think for everybody, there is a lot of opportunity, even though jump rope has been around for probably thousands of years. In terms of the fitness industry, it is still growing rapidly. And a lot of that has to do with CrossFit. There are, I think, many possibilities of incorporating it, either into what you already do or creating your own class or using our brand and launching punk rope. And so hopefully this credential will, help open some doors. Okay, well, that's great, guys. That's what a interesting group we have today, and talented. And I did also just want to mention that a lot of you are on social media. I have been watching many of Zoile's videos on Instagram, and they're great. And so after this, maybe we can exchange social media information and follow each other. And we are all about community. So I should say that to date, there are about 1,200 certified jump rope instructors around the world. That's a lot. It doesn't mean they're all active, but we like to think of them all as part of the family. So, so welcome to you guys. Okay.
Excuse me. Can I just say one thing? I want to say, Zoila, your English is great. It's perfect. It's far better than my Spanish.
Yes, it was great. Very easy to understand.
Yes.
So guys, we're going to move on to part 2. Now, part 2, we really want this to be a conversation. Now, I understand it's not so easy on Zoom, but we'll do our best. I think the way to do this is we'll introduce a topic, and then I guess if you just want to, ask a question, go for it. Unmute yourself. I know there might be a little bit of crosstalk. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
If it gets chaotic,
if it gets chaotic, we'll go by the raise the hand feature. And then if there's nothing that you'd like to discuss about a particular topic, that's okay. We may ask a question. So all of this is covered in your manual. Hopefully you had an opportunity to read and also watch the videos. And if we go through it quickly, we go through it quickly. We'll just point out some issues that we've noticed over the years that we think are particularly important in teaching either one-on-one or a group. I know many of you want to do private lessons, some of you want to do group, and that's great. Okay, so I'm gonna jump out of the frame because some of the time we'll have Shana demonstrating certain skills or certain mistakes, for example. And you'll hear me, but you won't necessarily see me. I apologize. I know I need to get one of those headsets, but I don't have one yet. So, okay. So guys, we're gonna start from the top. And the first topic is the benefits of jump rope. And there are many. We've outlined them. They are debated constantly. If you follow people like the Jump Rope Dudes or Cross Rope or Rushy in the UK.
I didn't know he had an E at the end.
Well, some people call him Rush. Anyway, there's a lot of conversation online. Jump Rope Veteran is another one. You're going to want to follow all these people and be part of the community. But benefits are a hot topic. There are some conceptions about them, but we're curious, do you have any questions about the benefits? It could be general or specific, or maybe just a comment that you'd like to make. And again, if you don't, it's fine. We don't have to.
Soily.
Okay. Well, I have a question. I read in the bibliography of the manual something that says effects of jump rope program on motor coordination of children with autistic spectrum disorder. Well, like it was a book, it doesn't appear a link where I can read more about it, but it seems too interesting to me, and I want to know if you can tell me or remember exactly what happened with that children with autistic spectrum.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I don't think there is any specific research yet. Or there might be a little bit. Was that in the bibliography? Maybe it was.
We do have experience.
But we worked with
not a lot.
We worked with a couple of groups of children on the spectrum, ranging from autism to Asperger's and other diagnoses. And
it was integrated physical education.
Yeah, so
mind you, we were coming in.
We were coming in as outside
jump rope artists,
consultants. We were working with the classroom teachers who were the experts in the field. And what they were sharing with us was that some of the children especially enjoy the turning motion of the rope, the rhythm of it
long rope
for
too.
Long rope.
Not sure about double dutch, but just one.
single long
Some
rope.
Very
so
good at double dutch.
So they had a partner who was also turning with them, and then there was a jumper. I think this is an area where we need to investigate further, try to learn a little bit more about specifically what is happening in the brain, how the children respond. But in our experience, they did very well, and they seemed to enjoy it. I wish I could say a little more about it, but I think our experience is limited. But I think it's definitely an area that
interesting.
It's very interesting, yes, and I think it has a lot of potential, and that might be something that some of you would like to explore further.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great question. Anybody else about benefits? I'll just share with you a very common claim. One thing we need to be careful of, and I think Kai is probably very well aware of this because she has such a wealth of experience. But in some fitness circles, people make, let's call them bold claims, sometimes exaggerated claims. One of the more common claims is that 10 minutes of jump rope is equivalent to 30 minutes of jogging. And it's not a claim that I would ever make, and I don't really like the fact that it gets circulated so much. It has the effect of getting people excited about jump rope because they think, oh, well, that's very efficient. And I don't need to spend so much time exercising and I still get the same benefit. But I don't think it's true, and also we like people to think a little bit more deeply. So if it's 10 minutes of jump rope, what's the speed? How many revolutions per minute? What's the size of the person? What's their objective? Do they want to lose weight? Do they want to improve coordination, agility? If it's 30 minutes of jogging, what's the speed? Again, what are the orthopedic issues? There's just so many different variables. So I just think in general, let's be careful making blanket statements and try to stick to, Matt was talking before about data-driven. Let's try to stick to the facts. And as more research is done, I think we can continue to add to the long list of fitness benefits of jump rope. There's already such a long list, so we don't really need to go overboard and exaggerate. Sorry.
Also, just saying 10 minutes of rope jumping, we don't have any research or data except our own experience. But we rarely jump rope for 10 minutes straight, except for, the exception of those. Even doing the 5K, it's not. The jump rope, you teach a HIIT class, Kendall, and I don't know if you're doing 10-minute intervals of jumping. I'm guessing not.
Yeah.
It's usually somewhere between 2 to 3, and some classes may only use 1 minute. It all depends on a number of things. So that's another thing that's weird about that comparison.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're going to move on. I want to be respectful of your time, and so we might pick up the pace a little bit. I hope that's okay. The next couple of topics involve equipment. So the rope itself, what rope is appropriate for either a beginner or an intermediate or an advanced person, and then how to size that rope. So just very quickly, any questions about what rope you might recommend? Now, we're not suggesting you recommend our rope because it's our brand. More talking about categories of ropes. And there are, of course, cable ropes that are very fast and good for, double unders and speed. There are licorice ropes, which is our most popular. There are heavy ropes. If you're familiar with cross rope, they come in different weights. There are beaded ropes. Back in the day when Muhammad Ali was jumping, there were cloth ropes. There are still leather ropes. There's a whole range of ropes. So any questions about ropes? And if not, that's fine. In terms of rope sizing, that is a big deal. And so regardless of what rope you recommend, it's really important that it's the right length. And so for a beginner, Shana's just going to show you our simple method, which you probably read about. This is an approximation. There's a range. But for a true beginner, we have them stand on the rope with 1 foot. There's also a 2-foot method, but we go 1 foot, it's just a little easier. We have them bring the handles up, and as long as those handles are close to their shoulder, they should be fine. Now,
some wiggle room with
there's definitely wiggle room.
This is probably too long, so you get a little lower.
And then we can teach them how to tie a knot below the handle, always below the handle. If the rope is too long, you'll need to watch them jump and figure out what they're doing with their technique. And then these ropes, our ropes can be adjusted with a little mechanism called a snap lock. And it's 2 pieces, very simple to maneuver. And you can fine tune the length using that. Other ropes have different adjustment mechanisms. Some have none. That can be a problem. So we do prefer the ones that can be adjusted. Okay, good.
Questions?
No, if there's no questions, that's fine. We can always come back to some of these topics as well.
That's if you're a new rope adjusting it, you can actually cut it. Tim mentioned before the whole, just in case you aren't all already familiar, that is a knot, underneath the handle, not inside.
Right. If Shana made the knot on the top, that would create a problem for turning.
If it was inside,
it would get stuck and you would not have a smooth turn. Okay, So we're going to skip warm up and cool down, but we can come back to that if there are questions. One common question that you'll see on jump rope boards, on Facebook, and in YouTube videos is injury prevention. So
It's our specialty.
it's a big deal. Now, here's the thing, guys. If you are not an athletic trainer or a certified personal trainer, or even if you are, you need to be concerned about what's called scope of practice. And that means, do you have the expertise in a particular subject to be dispensing advice? And we want to be very careful not to play doctor if we don't have an MD next to our name or a PhD. So we would say that it's okay to dispense some very general advice about injuries. And typically what you're going to hear are people that are having issues with their knees, people having issues with their ankles, sometimes their feet, plantar fasciitis, for example, and sometimes their hips, sometimes their low back. So I would just be cautious about giving any specific advice, what we would call a prescription. We're not really qualified to do that. But you can give some general guidelines, and I would leave it at that. But any questions about jump rope related injuries?
Hey guys, I have a question/comment. So, you know, I've been teaching group fitness a long time, and footwear is a big deal. You know, it's, you know, if you don't have proper footwear, there's a good chance you're going to have impact injuries, and also with your flooring. So what do you guys find to be the best footwear? I know what I prefer and what I like, but what is Punk Rope's idea about proper footwear in a punk rope class?
I love that question. Great question. And it's a complex answer that begins with the individual. And I would say anyone that has orthopedic issues needs to find footwear that has a reasonable amount of cushioning. And then the topic gets very complex, right? So you have shoes that help prevent excessive pronation. They're called motion control. You have shoes that increase stability. They're called stability shoes. You have neutral shoes that theoretically are for people that have neutral gait and don't have that many issues. One thing I would say right off the bat, if you can look right behind Shana, the mat that we jump on for class is 5/8 of an inch thick. So in a sense, we've taken the role,
the square in your room.
we've taken the role of cushioning that a shoe plays and transferred it to the surface that we're jumping on.
It's about that big.
Yeah, 5/8 of an inch is pretty thick.
It's not a yoga.
No, it's not a yoga mat. It's a lot thicker. So it does get complicated. There are so many brands, but I would say a couple of comments about shoes in general that people are not always aware of. One is when you go shopping for shoes, now these days we don't always go to stores, but you want to get them at the end of the day when your foot is at its largest. You never want to shop for shoes in the morning. Secondly, fit is individual, but what we want is room in the forefoot. So between the longest toe and the end of the shoe, we're looking for about a thumb's width. And we want a snug midfoot, and we want a snug heel. Beyond that, there's going to be so much variation. Some people are going to be Adidas all the way. Some people are going to be New Balance. Some people are going to be Nike. Some people are going to be, you know, Hoka, and on and on and on.
I don't think it.
And
the
Shana.
the brand isn't so much the issue. I mean, between Tim and I, for a long time, we advocated minimal footwear, and we both prefer it. But if you're going to wear minimal footwear, like most of you might have seen these things, and I do wear these.
Those are 5 fingers.
Sometimes I wear them.
But it's a
But
wonderful
I couldn't wear
question,
them
and
a long time.
and it's one we can talk about a long time. But we
Yeah.
can also, guys, what I want to share with you
Most
is
people should wear regular.
we are very responsive. So if you want to dive deeper into some of these subjects, just email us after. It's tim@punkrope.com or shana@punkrope.com, and we can have a conversation about any of these topics. Okay, awesome, guys. We're going to move on past technique, because that will cover when we do the skills assessment. Beginner mistakes. It's a big one, and I'm sure we all have our approaches to working with beginners. Any questions about that? Any questions about how you might deal with a particular mistake, or we could call it a challenge that a beginner makes? And there are many, there's so many, but we've identified 7 major ones. But anything that you would like to ask about? And if not, that's fine. We can come back to that, or we will move on. I think we're going to move on.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
So I was just recently teaching some teachers some jump rope, and I have a teacher who constantly is pulling her feet back. So you had kind of demonstrated that, and no matter what I said, it seemed like, yeah, unfortunately, it was even worse than that. It was
Probably
quite a bit more
I
than
can't
that.
even do it. I'm always amazed by people who can. They butt kick.
But
Yeah.
I kill myself.
the issue was, no matter what I said,
Yes.
she just continued to do it, and it looked painful to me. Like, we were outside on concrete, and like it looked horrible. I thought, man, you're going to be sore tomorrow. But nothing I said really had much impact. So what do you suggest with beginners that maybe aren't getting? Obviously, I needed a different technique, but I didn't really have any more techniques. So what would you suggest?
Yeah, it's a great question, Matt. So, guys, when you see someone making a mistake like that, or it could be another, if we allow them to continue to jump in that fashion with the kickback, and it sounds like in the case of Matt's student, it was extreme, and so there was a risk of injury, we need to stop them. We need to call time out, and we need to explain that if they continue with that form, they are putting themselves at risk. And so what we would suggest is backing them up 1 or 2 steps. So I'm going to let Shana show you what that would look like. So backing up 1 step would be swinging the rope to the side. This is called the windmill swing. And they can add the jump, and I can almost guarantee that when swinging the rope to the side, they will not kick back. They will jump straight up and down. And if they did continue to kick back while turning the rope to the side, we would take the rope, put it down, and we would have them do what we call shadow jumping, which is mimicking the jump rope step with no rope. Because what we have to do is break the habit. And if we allow them to continue the habit, the likelihood that they're going to grow out of it becomes slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, and the likelihood that they're going to hurt themselves becomes greater and greater and greater. So that would be our strategy. Now, is that frustrating for the student? Absolutely. Is there a chance they might walk away and say, you know what, I'm done here? Yes, but we have to take that chance.
Even if they weren't going to hurt themselves, like some people just have the ability to do that butt kick, and even some performers do that. It's amazing, great. But in the realm, in fitness rope jumping, that it's not usually advised. It will interfere depending on their goals. Most people like the idea of being able to turn faster, and then ultimately a lot of people like to be able to do a double under or something. You cannot go very fast. You can't, your feet come up and have to come down. It takes more time. So they're not going to get much better either, even if they weren't going to hurt themselves. It's very poor efficiency. Nothing else.
But great question. Thank you. So guys, moving on to the different steps. Now we're going to cover 9 in the skills assessment, but there are some in the manual that are not in the assessment. And those are twister, stagger step. So Shana's just going to show you these. You've probably seen them already. They're also fairly basic. Twister, lower body goes one way, upper body faces forward. So a good jump to improve mobility. And then this is the full twister going side to side. The stagger step is a precursor to scissors. We have a split stance. So it's getting the athlete accustomed to having one foot in front of the other instead of the feet together. Moving on a little bit more advanced, we have high knees, similar to high knees in an aerobics class. Shana doesn't love this. So the knee is coming up to the waist, just driving that. And so we're working the hip flexors. And we have a variation of alternating feet that many people call the boxer step, because it mimics the footwork of a boxer moving side to side. There's a little bit of a lateral movement there as opposed to a straight up jog. Some people have some difficulty with that, but it's a popular step. We have a single leg jump, which is great for building calf strength and ankle stability. So we're simply taking one leg out of the equation. Not something we use a great deal, but occasionally.
Isn't that part of their own?
Oh, that is part. I'm sorry. My bad. You guys are doing that. Sorry about that.
We could lecture about single leg.
And then there's 2 more that are in your manual that are not in the assessment. One is difficult to show. It's the one that Kai likes as well, and it's the skip. And it's the step that we've used to do 5Ks. Instead of running them, we skip them. And it is literally the same as a fitness skip, a power skip, a layup in basketball.
Mine doesn't look like a layup.
It's something we enjoy a lot. We go to the track and practice. Something you might want to consider. And then lastly, and I think this would be of interest to everyone, but especially Freddie, because it's a great athletic move. We have a side shuffle, which is a staple in any sports conditioning program, and we've adapted it with the jump rope. So we're taking that side step, that's abduction, and using the rope to slide across. So we're adding basically a coordination challenge, and you can work on agility by
No, it's more
changing direction.
With more space.
Yeah. So those are some of the steps that are not part of the assessment. The last thing before we get to the skills is tracking progress, or even just the idea of progress. Now, this applies to you and your own jumping, and it applies to your students. And the way we think of it is there are 4 categories. The first one is proficiency, and that means you don't miss, right? You become competent enough, skilled enough that it becomes almost automatic. That's an important one. The second category is
counting jumps. Is
yeah, counting jumps. You know, you can get 100 in a row, 200 in a row, whatever the case may be. Endurance is another category to consider in terms of your progress. And that could be, well, today I can jump a minute consecutively without getting out of breath or having to stop. Maybe in a month I can go for 2, and another month maybe 3, and then 5 and 10 and so on. So increasing our cardiovascular capacity.
Working with students, working proficiency is a pretty good way. You're gonna probably unlikely come across injuries as much as in running, because rope jumping is, not famously, but it's called a self-limiting activity. So if you fatigue, you often miss, usually based on the lower body fatiguing, but once you're turning is good. There's a lot of different interacting factors with it, but it's a nice, that is another advantage to rope jumping, as whether you're instructing or learning it.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
You're much less likely to injure yourself because you end up missing, and then you end up having to reset your posture and everything, which is good.
2 more categories in terms of progress would be speed, and this is a big one for a lot of folks, especially CrossFitters who are trying to do a certain number of double unders in a particular time frame. So let's say a minute. And when we get into things like world records, we find that with double unders, the world record is somewhere in the vicinity of 180 double unders in a minute, and just straight on regular speed, it's somewhere around 350 revolutions in a minute. And we can go on and on with world records, but I know it's something that motivates people. They get excited about it. There are ways to teach it. So that would be the third option. And then the fourth one would be level of difficulty. So similar to diving or gymnastics, or some of the events in the X Games, rope jumping can go from very basic into the stratosphere. And we've been very fortunate to be able to meet and work with people like Adrian Banyegi from Hungary, who is a world champion and is absolutely phenomenal. Shana had done a lesson with Renee Bibeau, who worked with Cirque du Soleil. Many of you may be familiar with Buddy Lee, who was an Olympic wrestler. And Buddy's actually a little older than I am, and he's just phenomenal. So if that's your bag, if you're looking to do tricks and build world-class speed, you're going to want to follow some of these people and get to know them. Most of them are very generous. But progress is a big deal, right? We all, that's kind of why people are doing these activities, is to get better, get fitter, get stronger, etc. So that's the last topic. And so are there any other questions? Anything else that, I'm sure there are, but if there's anything you want to ask about now before we dive into doing the assessment, feel free to jump in.
I just want to say that you guys were speaking earlier about the data, the correlation between jumping and then triathletes. I dabble in 5Ks and I never train, and I hate running, but I do notice that jumping, it does help my endurance. And so I can kick out a 5K and I don't know what happens to me. Like I get on the start line, I get in these races and I turn into like a competitive monster. And so like I take off and I go and I get like some of my best PRs or after I've done a lot of jumping. So it does help. So I don't have the data, but I just know personally that it definitely does help.
That's great, Kendall. That's fantastic. And I think one thing that we can all try if we want to be a little more scientific is, keep a journal of our program and potentially do a trial where for one 5K we train conventionally with just running repeats, whether it's 400 meters, 800 meters, miles, etc., and see how we do. And then at a later time in the year, we switch it up and we eliminate some of the running and substitute some jump rope and see how we do. It's a small sample size. It's a sample of one, but but it's
Right.
a start.
What I was doing intervals. So I would do 50 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 50 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was great to build up.
Running.
That was your with jump rope?
With rope jumping?
With the jump rope,
Yeah.
50 seconds of jumping, 10 seconds of rest for 50 minutes.
For 50 minutes, wow.
Do you do just like alternating feet, or you just do kind of whatever?
Any kind, any jump, basic, just whatever I feel like.
Yeah. That's great.
I find it's very important to switch the steps. That makes sense.
Yeah,
definitely. That's great, Kendall. That's fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, I encourage everyone to mix it up with their training and record the results. And, maybe one day we'll do a serious study. We tried, and I have disappointing news for you. Sorry, but I think it's important to share. We approached a professor at an exercise science program about doing a study on jump rope. And at first, he seemed real excited. And then we realized the concern there was budget and funding for his department. And so essentially what he wanted to do, we call it pay for play. He wanted us to commission and fund a study that would have just looked at one of our classes to get data on heart rate and calories burned. But that wasn't our interest. We wanted to look at jump rope as a fitness activity across the board. And so it was really, in the end, it was all about the money. But, what are you going to do? That's the world we live in. Okay. Enough
scientifically,
editorializing.
most activities, unless it's done on a stationary bike or some kind of ergometer, you can't really do pure research. Because, the most interesting about with the rope jumping, in exercise science, they collect oxygen, and back in the 70s, they used to actually have a big bag. People like, hell. Most of the time, this stuff's done on a treadmill, and like Tabata, you'd know where the intervals was purely stationary bike training, although it was done for speed skaters. But they do the research. They're not using people skating in the research. They just cross over the results of like how everything reacts. So you always take that idea. In fact, when I did exercise science, a lot of things I would cite, and I joke with Tim about everything was done on like rats or roosters or like it's all animal research.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably not that transferable.
Those your own personal experience and your feedback from your students is, I think, always the most important. It's your world, right?
Yeah. So guys, we're going to move on now to the next part, which is, and don't be nervous, you're going to all do great. This is the skills assessment. We're going to go one at a time. And what I encourage everyone else to do is just observe, cheer if you want to. You can unmute yourselves and clap. We've got 9 steps to cover. Once again, it's 10 repetitions of each step. If you fatigue, don't worry about it. Take a short break if you need to catch your breath. If you miss, don't worry about it. Not important. We're looking for basic form. We're not going to say anything during. We'll wait till you're done, and then we will do, we'll make some general comments, and then if anyone else in the group wants to chime in, that's great too. And we're just going to do this alphabetically. I hope that's okay. And if you need a reminder of the steps, we'll keep going through them so that you know what you have to do next. All right. So now, if you need to warm up, now is a good time to just bounce around a little bit. Our basic warm-up, we can show you. Basic warm-up for us is just rotation. So maybe Shana will
Frame you.
Shana will do the warm-up, and I'll talk you through it. And we're going to do this super fast, guys. Our typical warm-up's about 4 to 5 minutes. We begin usually with some shoulder rolls, just loosening up the shoulder joint. We're going to try to think about this anatomically, shaking out. We do some windmill swings, which are bigger movements of the arms, and we'll go both directions. We're not doing any backwards jumping today, but that is something that we incorporate into most of our classes. So rotating in the other direction over the head. And this is a chop, so often called a wood chop, where we reach up to open up the hips, inhale at the top, and then as we're chopping down, we're exhaling. The form is similar to a squat. The back stays flat. We don't round. And then this is just a simple rotation, or we often call it empty coat sleeves. The arms are swinging as if you're wearing a coat where the sleeves are way too long. And your hand might even brush your back as it swings behind you, and that's fine. And we're pivoting on the balls of the feet. So that's a bit like a golf swing. And then we have side bending with a hip width stance. Now we're keeping the hips square. That means there is no rotation here, just side bending. So we're working in the frontal plane. And then we're taking a much wider stance. And now we're keeping everything dynamic. So this is not static stretching. That will come after the workout. And then we're getting into hamstrings. Apologies, that last one was to work the adductors, mobilize the adductors. This is to mobilize the hamstrings. This is often called the waiter's bow, as if you're about to ask for your tip. Keeping the back flat or slightly arched. And then we come into cross crawl, and that is knee to opposite elbow. So it's a bit of a spinal twist, and it's considered an exercise that can help sync up the two hemispheres of the brain. Probably unproven.
Check which side doesn't work.
But a useful warm-up movement. And then from that, we will come into shadow jumping, which is jumping without the rope. So we're keeping those bounces very low, very soft, very relaxed. The wrists are rotating. And we'll take our students through a variety of steps at this point. In our other class, which you're also welcome to check out, that's called Beastinetics. That's our HIT class or boot camp class. In that one, we'll also do fast feet. But you guys know fast feet. But for punk rope, we usually will not. We'll just do a variety of shadow jumps. And after 4 minutes or so, most of the students are pretty warm and ready to go. So, with that said, we're going to kick this off. And I believe Denise is up first. And let me just repeat the steps you guys are going to try. Okay, So guys, here's the steps, the 9 steps. Basic bounces first, and we'll keep repeating them because it's impossible for you to memorize, and that's fine. So basic bounce will be 10 reps. Skier is the side to side jump, and those can be very small. Bell is the forward and back jump. Shana's gonna continuously, that's the bell.
You never see what it looks like in the computer.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna go to gallery view so we can.
So.
Oh, okay, yes. Denise is pinned. Not in a wrestling way. Scissors is the sliding the feet forward and back. Straddles looks like half a jumping jack. That's feet apart, feet together. The alternating footstep, you're welcome to do a jog. If you prefer the boxer, that's fine. I'm going to leave that up to you. Single leg, we're going to do 5 reps on one leg and 5 on the other. Okay. Then the cross is next, crisscross. So we've got the forearms coming together. Shana's going to show you with the rope.
When you do 10, 1.
We're going to do 10 total. Now, when we say 10 total, if you want to take a break in between your crosses and do a regular jump, that's fine. And then we finish with double unders. And the same is true here. If you want to do 10 consecutive, great. It's going to be over really fast. Here's Shana going consecutive. Hopefully you can see that. But if that feels like too much impact this morning and you want to do a single double under and then recover, that is also okay. We're really just looking at form, not speed.
If anybody's not got a step, feel free also to.
You can opt out.
You can do it and then show where you're at. Are you doing okay working on the side version,
Okay, guys, so if there's a step that you feel like, you know what, I'm still perfecting this, I'm not there yet, you can let us know, let the group know, and you can show us where you're at, and we can make suggestions for improvement. And one thing I did want to add, because I didn't mention at the beginning, I fully expect that we'll be sending all of you your certificates either tonight or tomorrow. However, if there's a step that's not yet in your arsenal, let's say crossing just isn't quite happening yet, what we would say to you is the certification is provisional, meaning stick with the steps that you're comfortable with when you're teaching or coaching. Continue to work on the ones where you feel like you need to improve, and feel free to show us down the road a video of yourself doing those steps that you're still working on. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's okay with you guys.
Always a process.
Okay. So Denise is up first.
Woohoo!
And we're gonna start, Denise, with basic bounce. And then skier, and I'll keep reminding you so that you know what's coming next. Okay, good.
Do I need to turn my speaker on or keep it?
No, you don't.
There's one other thing I just want to note.
But if you want to, Denise, you can. If you want to ask a question, or you can keep it on for sure.
Everybody can face and position themselves whatever way they're comfortable with and is working, but I just want to make a note, and we could talk more about this later, how you would function as teaching people individually using things or your videotape. If you're able to stand, so we see you from the side.
So in profile.
There's a lot more that you can evaluate from the side that sometimes is hard to see from the front, which is a whole
Yeah, that's
another ball of wax. But if it's not working in your environment, don't feel you have to
don't feel like you have to rearrange all the furniture. If it's more comfortable to face the computer or the phone or whatever, that's fine. That's totally fine. But I think Shauna's point is sometimes in profile, we can pick up more information that we can then use to assess and give feedback to the student. So, but whatever's working for you guys today, it's fine for us. Okay, so here we go, Denise. Basic bounce is first. Beautiful. That's nice. And we're going to go skier next. That's side to side. Awesome. Good. Very good. Okay. And then the bell jump is next, and that's the forward and back one.
Great.
Very nice. Good. Good. And then scissors is next. That's sliding the feet forward and back. Excellent. Good. And then straddles are next. That's feet apart and feet together. And again, everyone, you can make your notes. Good. And then alternating is next. Excellent. Good. Very good. And then we just have 3 left. So single leg is going to be just 5 on one leg and 5 on the other. But guys, don't do this if you have any ankle issues today or your knees are bothering you. You can opt out a single leg. Nice. Beautiful. Okay. And then we have crosses. Crosses are next.
Okay, these are my challenges.
Okay.
2 hard ones.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Just can't get a lot in a row.
Are you left-handed?
Yeah. Denise, are you left-handed?
I am not, but I do cross left-handed.
Yes. Yes. Interesting. Okay.
I've tried to do it right, and I just can't get it on the right. So.
Okay. Okay. Good enough. That's great. And guys, we often look with crosses at the top hand, and we make an assumption about that, but we're going to go now to double unders. This is Denise's last step, double unders.
Yeah, this is one I don't do well.
Okay, no worries.
Yep. I can get him.
Good.
I know I kicked my feet back. Not a good thing.
Those look good.
Oops. And I'm in my parents' garage.
Oh, okay.
Since I'm watching over them for COVID, so.
Oh, right. Oh, I hope they're doing better.
Yep, I keep hitting my thing.
That's okay. Yeah, no, it's a tough environment there. So try one more. Good. Good. Okay.
That's my challenge of the day.
No, that's great, Denise. That's great. So nice job. Shana and I will make just a couple of comments, and if anyone else wants to chime in, you're welcome to. So on the cross, very interesting that you cross left on top. And what we noticed is that left hand ends up way up by your shoulder. Shauna's gonna show this. Now sometimes
I know. I should show that right though.
So
I do the same thing.
Guys, what I want to share with you, with everybody, is on a Zoom call we can only see so much. But if there are steps that you want feedback on, feel free to do a short video. It could be as short as 15, 20 seconds of just that step, and you can send it to us. And then on YouTube, many of you may know this, on YouTube, that can be played back at quarter speed, 1/8 speed, which is super slow motion, or half speed or 3/4 speed. And then we can get a much better look at exactly what's going on. Today we're doing it with the naked eye, so it's tougher, but Shauna's going to show you where that left hand ended up. She might even just do it static.
With it's static, I can do that. So it's here.
So it ended up, Denise, by your right shoulder. Now, what comes up must come down. So when our crosses have that range of motion, I'm going to call it a big range of motion, the timing becomes even more difficult than it already is. It's already difficult. But if Shana shows you her cross, it's going to have a limited range of motion. And that is down.
Like regular.
Regular cross. So it's really just a flick. It's a flick of the wrist. And she's going to use her index finger to help propel the rope behind her. And that avoids bringing the hand all the way up towards the shoulder. The double unders, I thought you did really nicely on a bunch of them. Yeah, Shauna's making a suggestion.
So it's actually learning something that's hard to do and might take some practice, but it's how you can, you stay in a cross. So if you jump, keep it, because a lot of reason why you do that is just because, or even just
here.
Out here. It's because your shoulders and arms don't want to be here.
Okay.
You're in a straitjacket, right?
Yeah.
So being comfortable with crossing your forearms down here, it just seems probably, and I wouldn't know exact. I think it probably is a more normal human motion to do something like that. This isn't. So practicing to have the hands both at an equal height.
Always. Okay.
Useful, and you have the opportunity to be looking at yourself in a mirror or having people videotape you and look at it and see where your hands go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion. Yeah. And
cross and stick.
Cross and stick. And double unders is a little more complex, but I thought you nailed some of those really nicely. But maybe we'll offline we can chat about that some more, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Doing just high jumping.
Really nice job.
That's probably would be helpful for you, like the high single there.
Okay.
Just jump and then, I think it's just being, you're so proficient at the like quick singles, but then getting used to jumping a little higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not doing the double yet.
Little more explosive. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Denise. That's great.
Thanks.
Yeah. And Freddie is up next.
Yes. When doing the alternate foot and single leg jumps, it would be sort of a boxer's jump. My left knee is not working properly, and I rolled my ankle about a month and a half ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I'm fine. And I'm going to start with my most difficult challenge, the double under, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. That's okay. Yeah, Freddie, that's fine. The order.
I'll go from there down.
Okay, yeah, totally. That's totally great. And you let me know if you need a reminder what's coming next, but that's fine.
Great.
You're going to start with double unders. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Guys, start with the double unders.
Nice, Freddie. That's good.
Now I'm going to go with the basic bounce.
Okay.
Go with the skier.
Excellent.
Bell.
Great, Freddie. Good.
Scissors.
Nice.
Nothing in front. Single leg.
Single leg, good.
Left leg.
Crosses.
Nice.
Get wild.
Love it. Love it.
That's when it gets fun.
Awesome, Freddie. That's great.
Me gusta.
That was beautiful. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
one thing that Shana noticed. Now, which ankle did you roll? Was it the left?
Right.
It was the right. Okay. Okay. One thing, and this is for everybody. These comments are always for everybody. Single leg. When you're working with a client, first of all, you want to make sure that it's not a move that's going to injure them. But secondly, what we often see is the jumper will sink into the hip of the support leg. So I think Shauna's going to show you what that looks like. And in Freddie's case, it was the left leg a little bit. So the entire body starts to shift towards the support leg. And it'll vary, and it's always interesting to see ourselves, like sometimes we do great on one side and not as great on the other side. And then the other thing I just wanted to point out.
To do those side leg raises, some Pilates.
This is also very important, guys. On the straddle, and now Freddie's straddles were great, but a lot of people, Shauna's going to show you what happens. On their straddle, they collapse in. So if Shana just freezes, the two problems. One, they take their feet too wide. It's not necessary to go that wide. And two, they don't have the strength to stabilize and prevent the knee from caving in. So for those students, you might want to just, be mindful and suggest that maybe
100 in a row is not a good idea.
Yeah, that they should keep the volume down, or in some cases they should avoid that step altogether, because that one can be a little risky. But that was great, Freddie. Thank you. That was awesome. And so on the double unders, I think that's a step that you're continuing to work on. Is that right? Or
Yes. What happened with the double unders is that since I have a bad knee, in order to get that extra jump off the floor, it's a little bit difficult. So I have to rely on the speed on my wrist in order to get those double unders.
Yeah.
Freddie, I think it's great that you're doing one and then doing some singles.
Yeah.
In fact, I always think that's an important skill. We did a lot of workshops with CrossFitters who would just go and do like anywhere between 5 and 20 and then never know how many they could do. And they couldn't go into a single from a double.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah,
so you can control how much impact. You might just throw one double in. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think that's really
I actually
smart.
don't see what the big idea is with continuous doubles.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very smart thing, because Freddie, there's no way around it. It's a higher jump, right? No matter how you slice it. And so that is more impact than if you're nursing an injured knee. And then, I have to be honest with you guys, in some cases at a certain point in life, or depending on our injury status, double unders are going to go out the window, because
and your age, 58.
Yeah, you're just behind me, Freddie. I got 2 years on you, but yeah, I hear you. So we got to be smart. But that was great, Freddie. Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And so now, next up is Kai.
Okay, I will just tell you that I will be submitting a video for double unders because I cannot get them. So for whatever reason, I can't get them, but I'll do my best.
All right,
okay?
right.
And then if you wouldn't mind calling them out.
Absolutely. So Kai, I'm gonna mute. We're getting.
Then we can't hear it. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. So Kai, I'm sorry. Hear me.
We're gonna mute you. Otherwise we hear
I'm
stereo.
totally screwing this up, you guys. I apologize. Okay, basic bounces first, Kai. Good. And then skier is next. Excellent. And the bell. Good.
Yeah, there's a good thing.
Nice, Kai. And then scissors is next.
Looks nice.
Beautiful. And straddles, feet apart, feet together. Awesome. Great. And then alternating feet.
Boxer style.
Boxer and a jog. Beautiful.
There's both of them. Nice.
Very nice. Good work. And then single leg, just 5 on each.
Oh, that looks good.
Very good.
Don't worry, I have to smell all the time.
It's okay. Take your time, no rush.
Breathe.
Wow, that right hand is so... Nice job. Excellent. And then crosses are next. You might want to take a picture.
That's recording.
Okay.
Doing great. Don't cross too soon.
Take
See
your
if you can
time.
like anticipate it. Be patient. Look slightly down. There we go.
Good. Good. All right. Nice. And then if you want to try some double unders, that would be the last one.
Oh, okay.
That was close.
Bringing the hands behind.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's that interesting thing where the hands go a little behind.
Nice. Good. Woo. Yeah. Awesome, Kai. That's great. So we're going to make a couple of comments. And yeah, we were getting feedback before, so that's why we muted you. I think we're...
Okay.
Good. Good. No, we have feedback. I don't know. Okay, sorry, Kai. So one observation, Kai, if you could face the camera again, and without jumping, just holding one handle in each hand with the rope behind you, as if you're about to start. Yeah, and face the camera. And then go ahead and take just 1 or 2 jumps. Yeah, we are recording. So guys, what I want you to look at, and Kai, we're gonna talk about this a little later. Nobody is symmetrical, right? We all would like to think that we are. If you look at Kai's left hand as she's jumping in relation to her right, you're going to notice about a 5-inch discrepancy. So if we drew a line parallel to the ground, Shana's going to show you this now as well. The left hand would be well, is it the left is, oh, Shana's reversed, so I apologize. I don't know what you guys are seeing, but
It is my left.
yeah,
I saw it.
Yeah, it is the left. So now, is that something that we can work on? To some extent, yes. However, we would have to know the history of the person in terms of shoulder injuries, There could be factors like scoliosis, for example.
I have scoliosis.
Shana has scoliosis. I have 3 herniated discs. That could be a problem. Some of it could just be habit. It can get complicated, but the point I want to make is the first thing we need to do is just observe. And as a coach, you just want to notice. You don't want to jump to conclusions. We're not physical therapists. We're not orthopedists, but we are coaches and we can observe. And so we know in Kai's case that there's asymmetry. Now, how she deals with that then would be the next issue. For most of those jumps, it was not a problem. The cross, however, was interesting because, Kai, are you right-handed? Yeah. Now, Kai crosses right over left, but her left hand starts higher. So that means to get her cross, she's got to compensate by moving that right hand up and over the left. And that's not so easy to do when the left starts above. So it's a lot of extra work. Now, a mirror can help sometimes, and there's other techniques that we can try. But anyway, that was a great job. That was awesome. So, yay. Guys, next up is Kendall. And Kendall can unmute if she wants to.
I'm going to stay on mute because my neighbor, I'm sure you hear his leaf blower.
Oh, yeah.
If you could call them out for me, I'd appreciate it.
Of course. And Kendall's a trooper. She's outside. At least she's in Georgia, so that's good. Okay, Kendall, we're going to start with... I know, now I just want to say, in fairness to Kendall, because it's cold, ropes, you guys, ropes do freeze, and they get stiff, and so that makes it harder. So
Kendall, is it below 40?
Oh, she's
she
muted. That's okay. It's okay.
If the temperature is below 40, it's gonna most jump ropes are gonna start to be difficult to handle.
Yeah, it's just it's harder. It's harder for Kendall, guys, because she's outdoors and it's a plastic rope, so that makes it tougher. But anyway, Kendall, we're gonna start with basic bounce.
Okay, I think it's like in the low 40s, so it's not that cold.
Not that cold, but still.
Not as cold as yesterday.
You get extra credit. You get extra credit.
Take your rope under your foot a few times, warm it up.
Okay, basic bounce, Kendall, is first.
Should have told her to put it inside until she started. Sorry. Yeah, and usually after.
Nice, Kendall, good. And then skier, side to side. Excellent. And then the bell jump is forward and back. You got it. And then scissors is next. Nice. Beautiful, Kendall. And then straddles, feet apart and feet together. Good. And then alternating feet. Little jog. Okay. Good.
The rope's getting warmed up.
Good, Kendall. And then single leg, just a few on each leg. Nice. Awesome. And then crosses are next. Yeah. Okay. It's still the takeaway. Okay.
Return to the cross and stick. Yeah.
And then double unders are last. Woo! Nice. Good. Oh, awesome. Good, Kendall. Okay. So, guys, Kendall's already certified, and she was kind enough to join us just to get.
Great. What a trooper.
Yeah. And so the one step.
Yeah, I have to work on my crosses.
Yes, yes. So the cross, and we're going to talk to Kendall about this offline, but just quickly so everyone can learn from it, and maybe you guys noticed, and you guys can jump in with comments anytime. Kendall's cross is what we call a takeaway, where
I don't even know. I have a hard time demonstrating.
She initiates the cross, but the arms come apart before the rope goes under her feet.
So it's very fast.
So they come together and then they pull apart.
It's a neat move by itself, but it's not a cross.
Yeah, it's not a
So I can't
classic
even
cross.
do it.
It's not a classic cross. So Shana's strategy is to cross and stay crossed. We call that cross and stick. And that way the jumper gets the idea of how it feels to be in the crossed position as the rope goes under the feet.
Right.
And that's
your hands should be like this, and it passes under your feet when they are like that.
If that makes sense. But we're gonna
feel
keep
all sorts of tight and uncomfortable,
Yeah.
especially when you're a fitness instructor. Kids, it's easy because they don't have.
So we're gonna keep
Your video online, the teaching in the manual,
Yeah.
it's good. Like when I
Yeah.
watch it, I can do it. But
Yeah.
if I don't see it, it's hard.
Yes.
So I have to just stamp it in my brain. I just have to
Sure,
watch it some
sure.
more.
It might
Absolutely.
be helpful if you have a slightly heavier rope, like
I do.
something like even just like a 6
Yeah,
millimeter
the-
instead.
I have a.
And then it feels awful. I hate jumping slow. Try to do as if you were demonstrating for somebody, slow motion.
Okay.
Like, I'm not aces at it because for all kinds of reasons, you want to stay jumping quick. It feels better orthopedically and all kinds of stuff. But just slow your turn and be like, what's going to happen? I'm going to cross and uncross. And I'm a little bit squatted, to make it happen. But,
exaggerating.
if you needed to show somebody and you weren't using technology, just slow motion back in the day, you'd and acquiring that skill and using something like a beaded rope or heavier, you can make the rope hang. You know what I mean? So, but then for you, it'll make you get what's going on. Like, oh, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be crossed
One jump
when the
is
rope
crossed, and then the next jump is
is
uncrossed.
uncrossed. Yeah, yeah. Nice. And the other thing, you guys, that we were working with Kendall on, Kendall's style is somewhat like a professional boxer. So you're going to notice a little bit deeper bend in the elbow than you did with the previous jumpers. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a style. But we would say in terms of speed, usually it's going to be a little bit better if you want to be very fast, to have less of a bend in the elbow and more wrist, because then there's just less motion and typically less fatigue. And
Did you
so
notice a lot of people who do double Dutch tend to do that style too, because you're used to
the turning
motion.
style in double Dutch
So you have that in your brain already.
involves.
So it's almost like just trying to do even less.
Yeah.
The arms are straight.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm gonna try that. I'm like the fastest jumper at my gym.
Yeah.
If I could get faster,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
that would be great.
Speed is not
But,
super exciting, but
yeah.
it's good to
Okay.
hone your efficiency.
Nice
Thank
job.
you.
Very nice job. And next up is Matt.
Hi, Matt in Mexico.
Okay, Matt. So we're gonna start with basic bounce.
All right. If you'll call them out, I'll stay muted. I have dogs barking and.
Okay, sure.
kinds
You
of
got it.
craziness.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I'm not going to do the double unders.
Yes, no problem.
Fortunately, I bruised the bottom of my foot, so I'm just gonna do everything else.
That's fine. Totally fine.
Good.
All right. Good, Matt. So basic bounce. And steer side to side. Nice. And then bell jump is next. That's forward and back. Good, beautiful. And then scissors. Nice. And then straddles, feet apart and feet together. Yeah.
Needs more of a bend in the upper.
Good, Matt. And then alternating feet. So that's your jog or good, very good. And if it doesn't hurt your foot, single leg, or you could
just do the good one.
or just do the good foot.
All right.
Just had a dog.
That's fine. Good. And then last one would be crosses. That's up high.
That's good.
And then, but then the left comes up.
Yeah, the right is low and the left is high.
Hey, good. Nice job. So a couple of observations, and again, everyone else can jump in if they want to. Unlike Kendall, whose elbow is bent quite a bit, your arms are fairly straight, and we would encourage a little bit more of a bend in the elbow to get the elbow closer to the rib cage. And
the old arm
that,
inside the shirt trick.
Yeah, this is a little trick. We take our elbow inside our shirt, and it's a reminder to keep those elbows tight and focus on the wrists accomplishing the work.
I mean, you are turning with your
yeah,
wrists,
you absolutely are.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have your proficiency that you do. But
absolutely,
you're probably getting too much tension and fatigue, and if you do decide to do double unders, that's going to be an issue.
And then on the cross, and this is common with many people, the left hand, the start of the cross looked great, and then that left hand ended up way up high. So then you have to retrace your steps, and so that takes time.
And having actually, if you are used to being this kind of straight arm style, and then when you cross, it's like you're not used to, it's even harder. So practicing getting in this little straight jacket, and then of course making the straight jacket. Again,
that cross really is just a little flick.
Right.
It's really a flick of the wrist with the index finger helping, but ideally not a big range of motion. But that was great, Matt. Thank you. That was awesome. And Taekwondo is next.
Oh, also looking down, just as an overall thing, because I always have looked up in the past, but and also if you get fatigued, you start to relax a little if you look slightly down instead. I mean, not dropping your head, but just most of us tend to look up and then there's a lot of tension, and so
Yeah, bringing
down.
that chin in, and we can look
It's
maybe
a little counterintuitive, but yeah.
look about 10 feet in front of us. So nice. Okay, Taekwondo.
Replace spin, replace spin, replace spin. Sorry.
All right.
It's tutoring Tim on the Zoom.
Awesome, Taekwondo, and you're outdoors as well. Looks chilly. Sorry. It's not supposed to be chilly in South Carolina. Okay, so we're gonna start with basic bounce. Whenever you're ready. Nice. And then skier is next. That's side to side. Beautiful. And then the bell jump, that's forward and back. Awesome. That looks
style.
great. And scissors is next, sliding the feet forward and back. Excellent. Nice. And then alternating feet, so that's your jog. Boxer style. Nice. Nice. Good. And then single leg jump, if as long as that doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it's a little hip hike.
Good. Yeah, more so. Very good. And then crosses.
Of course, that's not nothing to do with the rope jumping, which is great.
Yeah.
Woo.
Nice.
Yeah. See how close your hands are in.
Excellent. And then the last is double unders. Okay, last one. Good, good, nice job. So, yay, everyone's applauding.
Yeah.
Now, Taekwondo is a certified double Dutch instructor, right? And so, yeah, so this is going to be a nice compliment. And the double unders, one thing that we noticed, and this is very common, you want to look at how people land and what direction they go in. So with Taekwondo, as she landed, she was going backwards. So with each step, it was a few inches back. And what that means, it's usually two things, and we'd have to see a video in slow motion to make sure. One, it can be the person's landing on their heels.
Oh my God, demonstrate that.
But that would hurt, so Shana's not going to show that. But the other thing is that when they finish the double, their hands are behind their hips instead of level with the hips or in front of the hips. And when hands go behind the hips, it takes the body backwards. And it becomes difficult to get many consecutive doubles, and it becomes difficult to go fast. So that would be the one thing to work on. And if you want to send us a separate video, we can work on that. Okay? Great job. Thank you. Yay. And then next up is Zoily.
Thanks, Denise.
Okay. I'm going to start with a beaded rope.
Okay.
And to do the double unders, I'm going to change to a velocity rope.
Yes. Good. Okay. I like the Venezuelan flag in the background.
I'm going to try and do it at all. Let me see.
Okay.
Basic bounce. Skier.
Good.
jump.
Nice.
Excited. Straddles.
Okay. Excellent.
Alternate foot step.
Good.
Boxer step.
Awesome.
One leg, single leg.
Nice.
Three block.
Good. Beautiful, Zoily. And then you're going to switch ropes.
I'm gonna change the rope
Okay.
to the velocity rope.
Yes. A little
I'm
faster.
gonna try the
10. Got it.
double under.
Okay. You got it. All right.
Take a moment, it's fine.
Woo. Yeah, let me try it again.
Try to just
Last change.
That's
Yeah,
okay. Take
yeah.
your time. Take your time. Nice. Woo! Awesome. Thank you. That was great. Nice job. Very
An
good.
A+ for
Have to
energy and enthusiasm.
Catch your breath. So now that was she did great. So Zoily, one thing that's difficult, and I think all of you probably know this, changing ropes in the middle of a routine when you go from a slow rope like a beaded rope to a very fast rope can make it difficult to maintain your timing. And I think that's why the first couple of attempts, Zoily was just getting used to her faster rope, the velocity rope. And then once she adjusted, she was fine. But it is difficult to go back and forth. So those of you that use cross rope and you're going from quarter pound to half pound to 1 pound to 2 pounds, it's fine, but just realize it changes your timing. Okay, but Zoily did great.
Yeah.
You guys, you all did great.
I think you were doing great. You were calling out the jumps, but if you're gonna teach a class, you're gonna probably feel better if you are not getting as tired, right? And be able to do stuff. And I think you can do less work. Like you have, and you don't have to. You can keep you do a style where you're using a lot of energy. Like you're really turning the rope and like you're using your whole arm, but you have it, but you could be more efficient, and it's like sleepwalking, at a certain, like I'm the laziest rope jumper. That's the only reason why I have some level, some kind of credential to be able to do is because I do it like with as little effort as possible most of the time.
Yeah.
And then how do you do that is that this is the tedious part, anytime you get a chance, try doing drills with swinging. You can actually make a wrist trainer, cut a spare rope in half, like
Shana's gonna get a wrist trainer, I think,
like
or
half a rope, and you can like decide to do, if you like just doing a little warm up where you're just doing your like footwork and stuff, and then just get really used to this idea that all you're gonna do is turn with your wrist.
Yeah.
Shoulders, don't have to do anything.
Yeah. So that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's funny. Sometimes it can be a little bit dull. It's like fitness rope jumping. Like I like to like freestyle and do lots of side swings and everything, and it's so much more fun, but also more tiring. So as far as teaching like a fitness class, you're gonna want to stick to something where it's not gonna get you as tired.
Yeah. But that was great, Zoily.
That's a great tip for multiple classes a week.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Multiple classes. Yeah.
Using the
Yes.
wrist trainer sometimes.
Yes. You guys, we're not getting younger. So if you teach multiple classes a week, one strategy is you demonstrate and you do a few good quality jumps, but you don't have to be jumping the entire time. You're asking for trouble if you do. So we do want to be careful and make sure we have longevity in our fitness careers.
Yeah. Probably depends on the style of how you're teaching the class, whatever
Yeah.
works for you, but you shouldn't have to, you know.
Yeah.
We
Don't want to wear
used-
yourself out.
We never really used choreography on beat with
No,
the class. You
no.
could if you wanted, but it doesn't really make that much sense in the rope jumping.
All right, but you guys did great, and so we're going to move on to the next section. If there was a step that you had difficulty with, and again, if you'd like to send us a video, we can take a look and do a deeper analysis of it. But I think you all know how you do, on the various steps, and I think you know what the challenges are. So that's awesome. So we're going to go into the lessons now, and again, because it's so weird, right? You're teaching someone maybe 3,000 miles away on a little screen. Don't worry about it too much. You're going to want to pin them on your screen, and so, and likewise, the student is going to want to pin the instructor. So there's the 3 little dots, and then there's the option to pin. And our first pair is Denise and Freddie. And so you guys are going to take turns teaching each other a basic skill. We're going to set a timer. It doesn't have to be 3 minutes. It can be much less, but 3 minutes is the maximum. Shana's setting a timer too. So you decide what you'd like to teach. Again, it could be basic bounce. It could be alternating feet. It could be a side swing. Something pretty fundamental. We'll mute ourselves. And then we're not going to do any commentary until everybody has gone, because we don't want to bias the people that come after you. Collectively we can discuss it at the end. So Denise, you're going to be the instructor first. Freddie is your student. And then after you're done, you can just say, okay, I'm done.
I gotta throw out a little thing from the world of personal training. People playing the student. You get to say at any time no. If you're having any pain or something, and you following the instruction anymore is not going to work. You need to stop. You stop. It's fine. I guess I could always jump in as the jumper.
All right, so
Jump in as a jumper.
okay, so Denise is the instructor, Freddie is the student to start. Set the timer. Okay, Denise, it's all yours. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. Hey, Freddie. I'm going to do one of my favorite jumps. I love the skier.
Okay.
I hate to do setups, and I do your little tour, right? So let's just start with a few basic bounces. And then what we're going to do is just go side to side, like you've got a line down the middle, and you're just going to gently jump over. You don't want to do major jumps. You just want to gently go back and forth, right?
Okay.
Ready? Okay, some basics. And then now jump to the left and the right. Stay with your basic. Good. Your elbows in. Good. You don't trip. You feel your core get tight. Good. You can go slow or fast. Your elbows in. I think that's the trick, is do everything from the wrist. Don't wear yourself out. Going any other way. Perfect. To me, it's like you're dancing, kind of swinging your hips a little. And get into it. Make it fun, because I love jump roping, right? One more time,
Okay.
side to side. Any questions, any problems?
Good. That's great, you guys. Nice job, Denise.
Thanks.
Thank you, Denise.
Thanks, Fred.
We're gonna switch.
My rope is a little tangled. It's 38 degrees in my garage.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. So
yeah, that'll
jump rope's
affect.
getting stiff.
That's going to affect the rope.
Well, I'm freezing back here, but it's fine now.
Okay. So now, Freddie, you're the teacher, and Denise will be the student.
Okay.
Whatever you would like to teach her, up to 3 minutes, and it can be short whenever you feel like you've done enough. You can just say, okay, I'm done, and we're going to mute ourselves.
Okay. Okay, Denise. We're going to be doing the bell. It's basically forward hop followed by a backwards hop. Okay. So let's start with the basic bounce, and then we will bounce, hop forward and then backwards, and that's going to be the motion, forward and backward, starting from the basic bounce. So let's start with the basic bounce right now. Okay, ready? Go. Now let's hop back and forth, just like a rocking chair. There you go. That's good. Back and forth. Now remember, if you get tired, you can stop and just swing the rope. Okay. So elbows in, basic jump, back and forward. It's like a little bell, back and forward. Good, good, great, wonderful. That's great, Denise. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's wonderful. Me gusta, me gusta.
That's one of my ones I don't really like.
Great job, you guys. Really nice work. Excellent. So we're going to move on to the next pair, and that is Kai and Kendall.
Kai, my cousin. I have a first cousin named Kai.
Oh, perfect pair then. Do you want to teach me first?
It doesn't matter.
I shall be the student then.
Okay, great. All right, take your rope and lie on the floor. I like to start with the rope. Start base bounce, up and down. Make sure you keep your feet together and double in flat footed. Kind of stay on the balls of your feet. And I'm going to teach you the skier. And we're going to keep our feet together, going side to side, as if you have an imaginary line down the middle. Back to basic, nice. And let's have an imaginary rope. Let's start, and we're going to go side to side again, feet together. All right, we can stop. Do you feel comfortable going side to side? All right, let's grab our ropes. We're going to start with the basic, and then when I call it, we're going to go side to side. All right, let's go. Light on your feet, elbows in, side to side. Nice. Basic bounce. Back side to side. Great skier. If you mess up like me, you just keep going. Great job, basic bounce. Nice job, Kai.
Nice.
Very good.
Nice job. Great job, you guys.
All right, now I'm a student.
Kai's going to teach next.
All right.
Great.
Hey, Kendall. Hi. All right. Okay, so that was an awesome warm-up. So just remember, we're going to keep our knees soft. Keep the bounce on the balls of your feet. Yes. Elbows in, rotate at the wrist. Thumbs on top, and then wrap your fingers around about halfway up the handle. Wrap your fingers around. You got it. So what we're going to do today is we'll start with the basic bounce. And we're going to do, my favorite is straddle. But if it gets a little too much, just go ahead, go back to the basic bounce. All right, you could also go and do your side swing if you like. But let's try the straddle today. All right, and don't forget to smile, because this is fun. Yes? All right, so elbows in, knees are soft. Relax, have fun. Woohoo! Let's start with some basic bounces. You got it. Oh, you look beautiful. Perfect. Nice. All right, now when you're ready, keeping it nice and easy, just open and close the feet. Not too big. Yeah. I see your smile. You're doing awesome. I love it. Nice work. Let's go back to basic bounce. Good. You feeling good? Yeah? All right, let's try that straddle one more time. Are you ready? Here we go. Let's try for 10. Your count. Whoa! You got it. You got 4 more. Woo! Ah, nice work. 2 and 1. Nice work, Kendall. You're awesome. Nice job.
Oh, that was great, you guys. That was fantastic.
You guys
Thank you.
got the help of hearing 2 pros.
Yeah. Really good job. Really nice work, you guys. Excellent. And so we've got our next pair. Now, we have an odd number. So actually, I'm going to go out of order slightly. I hope that's okay. And Takanda, you're going to teach Shana whatever you would like. And then our final pair will be Matt and Zoily. So let's see.
There.
Okay, and
You can remove the pin here.
I think you forgot Elio.
Elio. Oh, Elio, he's the translator.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
He could be a real student.
yeah, that's true.
Elio, are you in Venezuela also? Are you in Venezuela?
Sorry. No, I'm in Ecuador now. I'm
Okay. Nice.
South America here, but I am from Venezuela.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you for.
Okay, break a leg, guys.
Okay, Takanda, it's all you. Whatever you'd like to teach. And
Yeah, we have brightness.
and yeah, so you want to unmute yourself. There you go.
So cold.
Sorry. Aw. You can go fast if you like.
I'm in the park. I had to come to the park. I'm not home.
Wow. Well, you get bonus points for sure. Okay, whatever. It's just you teaching Shana, and then you can get warm again.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna start out with the basic bounce, and then we're gonna go to the scissors. So with the basic bounce, you want to bounce on your feet lightly. You don't have to go fast. Just go at your own pace. And then once you get to your basic bounce, then you're gonna switch your legs back and forth. You don't have to go wide. You can do it slightly, just as long as you're going back and forth. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start off with the basic bounce. Okay, now here comes the scissors. Back to the basic bounce. Okay, and the scissors again.
sounded wrong.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks, Sakanda. Thank you. That was great. Go get warm. All right. Excellent. And then, guys, our final pair for the lesson will be Matt and Zoili. And Matt, if you don't mind teaching first, that would be great. And then you guys can switch.
Sure, that's fantastic. Just give me 1 second because I can't see her video.
Oh.
Sure.
Okay. All right, I'm going to teach Bell as well, but I'm going to go about it a little different. Vamos a comenzar con el básico. Is it easier in English or in Spanish?
Oh, we have to unmute.
Has to unmute it there.
¿Prefieres inglés o español? Soy. ¿Y él te puede hablar en español?
¿En español? Ok.
Sí.
Entonces, vamos a comenzar con el básico primero y vamos a brincar adelante un poco. ¿Ok? Voy a decir adelante y vamos a brincar un poco enfrente. ¿Ok? No sé, ¿tienes suficiente espacio para hacer eso?
A little bit.
Sí. Solo vamos a hacerlo 2 veces. ¿Ok? Entonces, el básico. Primero. Y ahora adelante. Ahí. Hey. Adelante. I know. Guys, I can't see her video, so I don't know what she's doing.
She's jumping forward and back.
Sí, perfecto. Lo mandé. Sorry, guys, it's super slow, so I'm
Yeah. No, it's fine.
I'm
You
not
did.
seeing her.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
you did great, and she did
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That was good.
The same. The timing isn't ideal with the way I guess the
Yeah.
your internet connection is syncing with.
I know people get frustrated with technology, but the fact we can do this at all is kind of amazing. So, and so now, Zoili, you will teach Matt whatever you would like.
Okay, do you listen to me?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to teach you the scissors jump. You have to know that it has to be a small distance between your feet when you jump. All right?
Oh, I like that.
You don't have to do a lunge.
Small.
Okay? Your feet are sliding over the ground. Something like that. Correct? You have to practice it without the rope, making the mimic motion. After that, you can practice it with the windmill swing. And after that, you can practice it with the jump rope. Is jump rope really important for foot speed?
Wonderful, buddy.
That was great. That was great. Really nice job, you guys. Excellent. Thank you.
So they gave me a tip too. I so much prefer. We say here in fitness classes often, bring your feet together. And actually, bring your feet a small distance apart can often be a better way to say it, because not everybody should have their feet exactly all the way together. Go on and on, because in personal training you have that too. It's like trying to find that correct spacing. A little bit. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I've always loved it when people who don't speak, you don't have the English as first language. I always learn better ways of saying things than ones that have just gotten drilled in the head over years, especially in fitness, where like, why have we been saying this way isn't necessarily the best way.
Yeah, that was a great way of presenting. And I think everyone did terrific. So we have a few general comments, but I love the energy and the enthusiasm, and everyone has their own style and their own vocabulary. That was awesome. Why don't we throw out a couple of general comments, and then we'll open it up and you guys can share your thoughts. So one thing with a beginner, and a number of you use this approach, with someone who has not learned the step yet, we use an approach called the 3-step method, and that is no rope first, so that they can practice the footwork. So maybe Shana will be the model for this. So let's say we're teaching Shana the skier, because that's easy for you to see. If she has no rope at the beginning, she doesn't have to worry about missing, because missing can be frustrating and it can, cause her to lose confidence. So if we start no rope and we just teach her the jump is side to side and it's a small hop, then she can work on the footwork first and get comfortable. And then second, we can introduce the rope, but swinging to the side, which we call the windmill swing. Again, no concerns about tripping. It's possible, but it's unlikely. So now she gets to do the footwork with the spinning of the rope, but not having to worry about missing a jump. And then finally, step 3 would be putting the 3 pieces together, and we have her attempt to jump through the rope. And now she would do, try the skier. And then we see how it goes. The same process, guys, works in reverse. In other words, let's say you have someone you're coaching or in a class and they're having a lot of difficulty with one step. You could encourage them in a kind way to back up from jumping through the rope to swinging the rope to the side. And if that wasn't working for them, you could encourage them to put the rope down. So we can progress as well as regress. And that's an important concept. But you guys did great. So any comments that you guys would like to share about each other's teaching approaches or styles, cues, etc.? Feel free to jump in.
I love Kai's reminder to smile.
Yeah, that was very good.
That was great, yeah. Because I love to smile.
That was...
but I don't say that in class. But I love that reminder. Mm-hmm.
I have one suggestion, going back to Freddie. And this is particularly if you're going to teach a group rather than an individual, because actually those are 2 very different things. You can go ahead and, if it's a group class, it might have a whole sort of warm up, but once you might do a quick lesson at the beginning, you don't want to say too much. Like even right now, Tim's looking at me like, I've said too many sentences already, and you're all like, so you can go right ahead and show the step first. Like, oh, here's what we're going to do. And this is why my point was to Zoily, how, trying to learn to be super efficient is good so you can be lazy, but also be able to speak and very relaxed and be like, we're going to do the skier in this next interval. And go ahead and show it. And then give a few of the tips on how to do it, particularly if it's a class. If, the thing about doing it without the rope and then with the rope, you actually might not do in a class, not to confuse things, but definitely don't try to explain. Like you were giving a very good explanation, but people can't focus on that. Like I'm going to jump forward and back. And then you said it in 3 different ways. just like, and I do the same thing, like, just to be clear. And you're trying to explain, you can go right ahead and show it. Because people, I don't know, I'm a visual learner. And half the time I've taken fitness classes, I can't even hear the instructor sometimes. So I'm just, following. So I think, always just show it first, unless there's some reason, that you wouldn't like, or if you're teaching, even if you're just coaching an individual, you'll often just give it a demonstration. After that, actually, as an instructor, like I saw with Denise, how you kept going. And I wanted to be like, Denise, if you want to simulate instructing an individual, you probably don't have to keep doing it. You can be like, okay, that looks good, Fred. You can stop. So it goes both ways. But always start with, I think, the demonstration. Because I think we make that mistake in some of our YouTube videos too. I realize I'm like, maybe I should be done. Tim will be, I don't know if you've ever seen our videos, but he's talking, and sometimes I go, the more we can show and then break down.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a really good observation. And the distinction between teaching an individual and teaching a group is huge. As those of you who teach group fitness, you know that very well. They're two different animals completely. So, we can discuss group work later for those who want to stay on. But any other observations?
I actually have one. I loved, when it was demonstrated first and then we picked up the rope. So thank you for that. I've been teaching like such a small specific group for so long. I love the reminder that not everybody can do like just, okay, we're going to start. So that was really great and a great reminder. Especially like, again, I do love teaching. I'm a group fitness instructor and I taught punk rope for many years at the Y. And so I loved that reminder, that not everybody can just jump rope and to just start with the 3 C's. I love the three step method. Awesome. And then just something that I used when teaching the kids to get, and even the adults, to get them a little lighter on their feet, we just do hot coals, like pretend that you're walking on hot, or, in Arizona, our pebble deck gets to be like 120 degrees. So it's like hot pebble deck. And that kind of helps with a little bit of the idea of lightness on your feet. And, but anyway, great job, everyone. Thanks for the great reminders.
I like to give Kendall, like at one point, like, oh, hey, well, let's try to do 10. That's something you could do if you wanted to in classes and stuff. People like numbers and, it might depend on number of context, but I thought that was good. Also how you and Kendall both started to do what's called a combo. And is something like you don't necessarily have to be doing like 30 seconds or a whole minute of skier. You might do 5 skiers and then 5 basic bounce and 5 skiers. Now, and then it gets into like, how much you're comfortable with cueing and that. You guys have been doing fitness instruction with that kind of counting. In our punk rope and with Tim, it was often just a little random, and we would use sometimes music. That's a whole other thing. Change it, but that's a really good thing to realize that, like, because it can seem like, how long am I going to be doing skier?
Yeah.
So if you give people an idea of like, hey, how about 5 more? And then you can go to the easier jump. They can go to the easier jump whenever, but teaching fitness is tough because you're trying to, people want to be motivated to work harder. That's why they're there. Otherwise they would do it themselves.
Yeah.
One question and I have a comment. For people who have taught children, have you found there's a magic age where all kids can jump, like assuming there's no barring any, physical or mental impairment?
No.
Like, is there a magic age developmentally where they can all turn and jump?
It's more like, is it
No.
unlikely that any child under 6 would be very good? Is something you could say, but then you could, after that, there are some 7-year-olds that are better than many teenagers, like it's not.
Right. And it wasn't that, like a double deck, like all 7-year-olds can jump, like literally get off the ground, they can physically do it.
Yeah.
There may be a couple outliers. But yeah, I was just thinking with the hand and foot coordination. I don't know.
Yeah.
There is a standard in PE, which I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know if nobody actually is an official PE instructor, right? And I don't even know if they follow this. There was like standards, like you were supposed to be able to meet certain standards. It's the
Right.
whole theory of motor development. And I would say it's probably like first or second grade, you're supposed to be able to jump rope, but I don't know. I'd have to go back.
Okay.
Whether
Yeah.
that's something that we use anymore.
Yeah. But I think,
Okay.
guys, the reality is, I'm just gonna do a quick mute here. The reality is we probably shouldn't have too many expectations or make too many assumptions about what children can do at a given age. And if we all think back on our own childhood, you know, there might have been occasions where we were traumatized or
Kickball.
mortified about, you know, not being able to catch a ball or not being able to throw or yeah, like Shana said, you know, dodgeball, getting hit in the face.
Well,
or,
that was fun, but kickball was not.
And so we've worked with kids and adults. Now, we've worked with kids as young as probably 3, and we've worked with adults as old as in their 80s. And the range of ability is just unbelievable. And so with children, I think what we have to be careful of is just, you know, meeting them where they're at and understanding that it can be embarrassing at times and uncomfortable for a child who can't perform a skill that their classmates can perform.
That's why I think there's 2 different situations. If you're teaching a group of kids that have to be there, it's part of like a school program, and they're just thrown together as a group. What we taught like people who facilitated like recess and stuff, even more than
school
gym
aides.
And it was about having some rope jumping and then having some games just to get kids moving, and not, whereas if you really were into it and then kids could go to something after school and you could start a team, that would be a different story than just teaching a group of kids.
I appreciate the feedback. I was asking in the context of, say if I want to offer a class for children, do I, you know, is it recommended, second grade and up generally, or, you know, 4th grade and up? Because I would hate to say, you know, 3rd grade and up, and then come to find out most 3rd graders can't jump, or that. I was just asking in that vein.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's a great question, Kendall.
Right.
I would say maybe 4th grade is a good cutoff. I feel like at that age, the coordination tends to be there. Younger than that, it's a bit of a crapshoot. It's going to be all over the place. But the other thing is, if you offer a jump rope class for children, there's going to be what we would call selection bias, and that means the kids that are likely to sign up or show up are the ones that probably can jump rope. So you probably would be fine, and you probably wouldn't have to worry so much.
Like from my own experience, that's what I would want to do. If I can help it, I don't ever want to have to teach kids in a simulated prison situation. It's like there's people who don't want to be there. It's tough. I mean, it's important to do, and some people are really good at it, you know, but it's very tough, you know.
Yeah.
People who are able to work with kids and work with discipline issues, you know, that you know yourselves. Tim and I are not disciplinarians.
And actually, that's a really good segue that Shana mentioned prison, because for about a year we had an instructor at a women's correctional facility in Ohio. She was in for a very long time. And while I was never able to communicate with her directly, I was able to communicate with her partner. And that was a really cool situation. So if any of you are interested in bringing jump rope to a correctional facility, whether it's for adolescents or adults, I think there's potential there. And so that kind of leads us to the end here. I just want to say thank you so much. I'll jump on camera again. So you guys were awesome. And if anyone would like to continue the conversation about launching a class, marketing a class, how to charge appropriately for a class, any of those issues, we are happy to stay on now. It's about 20 to 3 our time, Eastern time. So we're happy to stay on and have a conversation about that. If you feel like you got what you wanted, and you're gonna get your certificate, I promise you, I'll try to get them out tonight or tomorrow. But if you feel like, you know what, I got other stuff to do, we are not at all offended. And you can always email us after and we can keep talking. Yeah. But if you feel like staying on now and talking about, marketing, branding, launching classes, all of those different issues, it's something we've been doing for a long time, so we know a little bit about it. And we're happy to stay on. So show of hands, would anyone like to keep talking or, yeah? Okay.
Well, before we go, I just want to say thank you, Tim and Shana. You've been an inspiration to me, and you were always responding to my emails on a timely basis, and I do appreciate that. Your concern and launching this class also. And I want to say to all of you, I'm really glad to meeting you all. You guys all did a great job, fantastic job, and Kay and Kendall, perfect. The way you taught the class was just perfect, and I have a lot to learn. But it was nice. Thank you very much, each one of you.
Thank you, Freddie.
Yeah,
keep in touch, Freddie.
Thank you, Freddie. In my home state. I'm from LA, Freddie.
Nice. Excellent. So, guys, so we'll keep going. Whoever would like to continue, and those who can't, thank you so much. We really enjoyed meeting you, and we look forward to staying in touch. Yeah, if everyone's, I don't know, is everyone staying on?
Well, I saw
some hands are not. Yeah. Okay. So Shana brought out some postcards, and
now this
is just something that we include with our rope. So this is not specifically marketing a class, but we have postcards. I'll go and grab one.
We took a dorky picture where this was the location of the last time we did a live class that was inside. That's Otto's Shrunken Head. It's the back of a bar. And it didn't have a large capacity, but it would, they let us teach the class back there.
Is that reversed? I guess it's
reversed. So now that's with all kinds of extra stuff of like, hey, there's the day it is and the time and, some bright colors to draw attention. And if you have the ability to pin things on local bulletin boards when that sort of thing is relevant again. And then actually, forgive me, and especially more than Tim, because now so much is done digitally and on social media, which is not my forte. Tim can jump in and say but this is the old school. Sometimes forget social. If you're where you locally, you have good places to put flyers and things, but that may be something that is going away.
So
but
the very first thing, you guys, would be you want to launch a class. Where, right? Are you going to teach at a gym? A couple of you had mentioned gyms. Great. Community centers, which is where we met Kai. Awesome. Some of you are already affiliated with programs. That's great. As Shana mentioned, we were teaching at a bar, in the back room of a bar. Not the most conventional thing to do, but it worked well for us. we've taught in churches. We have taught at colleges. We have taught in parks. We have taught in galleries. We've taught in breweries. I can go on and on with the different venues.
Bowling alleys.
Bowling alleys. So the point of this is I want you to think very broadly in terms of possibilities, and then think about audience. Who is it that you want to reach? So in Denise's case, it could be the cruise ship. It could be a group of Weight Watchers participants. For Freddie, it could be a group of athletes. And for all of you, right, it could be different groups. These days, we're mostly just teaching virtually on Zoom, and that's very limited, but that's also an option. Now, to teach virtually, your students need to have enough space. They need to have a decent Wi-Fi connection. There's all kinds of considerations. But I would say those are the first two things: where and who. And then from there, we can discuss how much. And specifically, how do you charge people? Is it they're paying you by Venmo? Do you have a website where you can do registration? Are you working through another organization like a gym that can take payment? There's a lot of different possibilities. How are you going to market this? Do you have an Instagram page or a Facebook, or are you on TikTok, which we're not because we're old? So a lot of different considerations. So I'll open it up.
I don't think you can do a long enough video on TikTok to be a class.
I'll open it up. Soilies, yes. So you guys, go ahead, jump in, ask whatever you like, and we'll share our experience. And then some of you may want to share your experience with getting a class.
I have a question about outdoor classes. The pavement, or the surface, if you hold regular outside classes, do you encourage your participants to bring a mat with them? Because in my outdoor boot camp, when I do jump roping, I will bring my mat with me. But do you find that participants have mats, or how did you handle that?
Good question, Kendall. In our experience, all the outdoor classes we've taught, we have never encouraged participants to bring a mat. They're coming from different parts of the city, and it would probably be very inconvenient, if not almost impossible for them. They don't have cars, so that's a difference between New York City and other places. But I think it's a really great question. Some instructors, we recently had an instructor teach an outdoor class in Brooklyn at another bar. That's our favorite. And she brought a few mats because she lived nearby the venue. She also brought ropes. So that's another question. Do the participants need to have their own rope, or does the instructor supply ropes, or do they rent ropes, etc.? So a lot of things to consider there, but
yeah, at a certain point you have to just be realistic with potential students, where like when we taught, and it depends, the mats that our teacher in Brooklyn behind the bar were yoga mats, just to help, because that was a roof with not a great surface. It was concrete, and you could add a yoga mat, and then sometimes though that could be frustrating for people to stay on, because you almost have to be skilled. So if you have older but skilled jumpers who want a little extra cushion, but ultimately it's just encouraging, to take, when we did outdoor classes in any kind of situation like that, you try to keep jumps basically 2.5 minutes at the most. You would not be doing your 5-minute, your whatever,
endurance
stairway to heaven
jumps
or something. So you might modify a class that if you were doing it in a fitness studio, you could do a little more intense. Also, like how many, whether you do double unders, that sort of thing may be modified. One point though is that there's a difference between concrete and asphalt. Asphalt is not that bad. Where we were jumping, the more the issue was just finding something that was not, there wasn't like debris. So if there's and cracks and stuff, find your smooth spot, and that sort of thing is a whole other, the kind of chaotic situations we've, and when you have a crew who you trust you and stuff, and and you trust them to figure it out, then, but yeah, you would just be mindful when you got somebody who's new.
Yeah. That
you could have you been jumping outdoors for a while? You could interview them, that sort of thing, and have you any issues because that is a potential.
The other thing, guys,
but asphalt's not that bad.
No, but if you go on the Punk Rope website, you're going to see a section called coaches. Is that what we're calling it? Anyway,
check.
That's you guys, right? So you now, once you're certified, which you are now, you have the opportunity to be on our website, your own listing, which you can update. You just have to send us the information. So for example, if Freddie has a class for a boxing gym, he can say, Tim, I want you to list my class, and I will. But what I want you to do is take a look at that section and notice who is currently teaching a class or running a group. And feel free to reach out to them because their email address is right there. And just say, hey, Tim and Shana encouraged me to reach out and ask you how it's going with your class. What challenges have you run into? Are you asking students to bring mats? Do you supply mats? Do you bring ropes? What are you charging? Is it too much? Is it too little? And then we can have this community conversation and start to learn from each other. I think that's a really good way to go about it, because what's happening in New York City is not the same as what's happening in Venezuela, not the same as what's happening in Arizona or Georgia or South Carolina or California or Missouri. It's all different, right? So I encourage you to reach out to the other instructors. Oh, Mac or Mexico.
Hey guys, I also wanted to comment on as far as if you're an independent contractor and you're not under the umbrella of a gym or a community center, it is really important to have your own insurance. And I have found waivers. A lot of my participants, I don't like to call them students, they're my participants, I know them and I trust them, but once we are outside and it is, some of us, skip early and it's dark, and it's really important to protect yourself. And like Tim had mentioned, your scope of practice. But, and then also, Tim, you might be able to speak into this, bringing this format to a place like a bar. Do we need to get on their COI, their certificate of insurance? It's a tricky thing. So what's your experience been with that?
Varied.
Yeah, thanks, Kai. That's a great,
we once had
really
to get a certified fire.
It's a great issue to raise. So depending on the venue, most venues that take liability seriously, so for example, a church, they've had experience with instructors coming in to teach various forms of fitness or dance, and they will ask that you add them. It's called additional insured. It doesn't necessarily cost anything, but one issue, and I'm glad Kai raised it, is if you're not a certified personal trainer or an athletic trainer, getting insurance might be a little bit more challenging than it is for those of us who are certified. So as an example, for Shana and I, and I'm going to assume for Kai, The cost is around, I want to
300?
say, I think it's closer to maybe 200.
I guess I get the personal training.
200 a year, $200 a year, which is really not bad. And that's for about a $2 million policy. We've never been sued, but that doesn't mean that next week we won't be sued. It can happen, especially in the United States. It's a litigious society. So you do want to protect yourselves. And I think Kai's absolutely right. If you're going to be teaching as an independent contractor, you need to consider the possibility of a lawsuit, and you need to understand liability. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't advise you, but I think maybe we can find some resources to send you. And as Kai mentioned, there are waivers online, boilerplate that you can copy. But it is a good idea to protect yourselves. I think that's really important. So something to think about.
I mean, ultimately, you don't have to worry. You know, if you're just a good person, you're out there, and it'd be like in any other situation. I mean, anybody who's done, I don't know what they do in recreational sports leagues, and it probably depends on how big that recreation is. But if you just go on the scope of something that's very informal, of like people getting together, and to something that's very formal. But as a, you know, as even a certified fitness instructor, we get insurance because we are certified, and then the more authority you're taking, the more it becomes important. But if, you know, I hate to see it be limiting to somebody who, Matt, you just want to try getting some people together, you know, and people can't really sue you. You know, you're actually more likely to get sued if you are certified to do something technically, you know, like that's sort of why there's a lot of issues in the world of fitness about making license. We don't have licenses to do this technically. So it does give you some more freedom from potential liability. Everybody's supposed to just use common sense, you know, but I think anybody can download a waiver of liability and have people sign it, or you can have people register online and have them sign it as part of the registration and make it easier, because coming with the big forms and making sure everybody signs it before, like we used to do in the past, is always a waste of paper and whatnot. So I think it's not too hard to set that up. And you know, you do it and you feel better about it, but you're probably very unlikely to actually, you know, it's just traumatizing. Like, I just worried all the time when I go out to teach boot camp in the early morning. Like, it's just, you know, but you get used to it, and eventually it becomes like everything else in life, you know, like, well, things might happen, but you just try to be, there's probably, you know, good idea. We could have a whole other discussion about this, but if you've ever learned, well, you've done karate, but like not so much karate, like self-defense, you learn about, you know, knowing your area, and you do that for your group of people. Like, you just, whenever you go to a place, you make sure you try to remove things that might be dangerous. You know, it's the kind of thing you learn a little bit in first aid and CPR as well, which if we encourage you, if you're not already a professional fitness instructor, do that. and you will learn more about these kind of things of handling situations that are potentially dangerous. When it comes down to individuals, though, that's where it gets a little sticky, because there are going to be people who are going to hurt themselves if they end up participating you know, most people realize chronic injuries, you know, it's not like it's not your fault that somebody, you know, especially when you could be very clear with people. You might be sure, if it's the first time they do the class, encourage them to ice their ankles, that sort of thing. And other than that, you know, it can start to become like paralyzing if you start, you know, I'm a very catastrophic thinker, so I have to sort of not think about it to some degree.
But I would just add, think about where you might want your fitness career to go, if anywhere. And if you envision it as possibly a professional path, then you're going to want to get more than just a punk rope instructor certification. You're probably going to want to look at becoming either a certified personal trainer or a certified group fitness instructor or a certified conditioning specialist. And again, it all depends on where you see this going, but eventually, you know, you get more credentials, you have more street cred, and more legitimacy, and more doors start to open. So just something to consider. I don't think it has to happen right away, but great question though.
I have a
What else?
question about, oh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I have a question about pricing. I would like to hear any feedback on that. And I'll tell you, here in Georgia, or Metro Atlanta was popular, drop-in rates. And then for like a specialty class like this, it will be something like a 10 class pass, or, we do boot camp. We do 6-week sessions. So does anybody have any feedback? What's popular or what's successful, or what clients like?
We're kind of trying to figure that out too.
Yeah. Anybody want to jump in on that one, or we can.
I have just my experience, Kendall. I've been very successful with 6-week sessions. It's it's short enough for people to commit to, but it's long enough that they're going to actually get some gains. So, and then I put space in between my sessions too, not too much, but just enough, just to get them wanting a little bit more. So 6 weeks has definitely been my sweet spot as far as time.
Kendall, we used 6-week sessions as well, and I've done some programs at facilities. That does seem to be something magical. I'm not sure why. Maybe just because it's always been done that way. So 4 is a possibility, but it always seems like 4 is a little too short if you're going to choose that model. And I think it's great.
Exactly.
People pay up front to go to, say you're doing, it could be a once a week or twice a week class. And so they're getting either 12 or 6 classes.
Mm-hmm.
Pay up front for a series of classes. I think that's great. That's how I've always done things. It's like whether you were signing up for a fitness class or dance lessons back in the day, you would do that. And then you could take attendance if you want, is a nice idea, but you're not, the idea that you would sell people a ticket, like a lunch ticket, that's making a pretty fierce commitment to have to track people's attendance. And it seems like, what is it? I don't know. It's
Yeah, I like the 6 week. I think Kai hit the nail on the head. It's long enough to see results, but not too long where people feel overwhelmed and are deterred from signing up. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could do that and always throw out the option for people to pay for a single class at a higher rate than if they signed up for the whole session. Depends on, if you're very successful, then you might not do that because you don't want any, new people straggling in, would throw off the flow, it's all gonna, but most of the time we used to do that for our boot camp,
Yeah.
Or you could have a free trial option.
Yeah, there's free trial option. But I would think about the accounting involved with all of these different possibilities, and whether or not you can take online registration versus the person's going to give you cash, or do you have the ability to take a credit card on the spot? I mean, there's just a lot of considerations, but how much to charge, I think, really depends on the specific market. And Atlanta and New York are going to be a little different.
There's another reason why that's a really good idea is, when you're beginning, you may just need to go out and try to promote and get any students, right? But if you sort of have, Tim's got a pretty good outreach of people. If ideally you go out to teach a class and how many people, unless somebody can't make it that day, because you have, how you've designed it is for 10 people. There's this big difference between teaching 50 and 10. I never liked going to teach classes in a regular, I don't know if you've probably done, in a gym where they're paying you, and you don't know if no one's going to show up to your class or 50. It's like, and you need different energy. And so people registering for a program, they've commit, and then and you can plan, and you could even know what their names are ahead of time rather than all of a sudden confronting some random. I thought that was a terrible model where they just offered members of a facility free like you're teaching a class that they're getting for free.
And they can just drop it
Where
in.
I think the freelancing contracting is so much better. You know this they've picked you as the instructor in your program and they're committing to it. It's so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
But
you could try. I don't even know how. Whenever gyms are able to do that again, with that's gonna come later. But maybe this is the time they can change that model.
yeah, things are likely going to change. But I'd say now is a great time to be independent because we can't really rely on facilities. And in New York, gyms are open at 25% capacity, but there are no group classes. But we did outdoor classes, and I think people really appreciated that. So you're all in different parts of the country and the world, but depending on weather, you might be able to do something outdoors. And man, that's going to be popular, I think.
Yeah, and you want to find one person in your community who talks to everybody else.
Yeah.
Because that's what it comes down to. If you have people who, your students, that's how you get more students. They bring their friends.
Yeah, it's going to be word of mouth for sure. But anyway, great question. We can keep discussing and learning from other people that are out there teaching. Again, I encourage you to go to that section of the website and see who's doing what. What else, you guys? What else about launching a class or marketing?
Sure, I have I guess a question specific to my context, but I'm in a community that's mostly expats, mostly retired expats. So I guess my question is kind of twofold. What experience do you have with older students, and how to dispel some of the, I don't know, myths or the idea that it's high impact, that kind of limits that type of student?
Oh, great question, Matt. We actually taught a workshop and offered a class at a senior center in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where the average age of our students was over 80. So I'll have to get you a photo from that, because that might help you to get the word out and show folks that, in fact, this is an activity that older people can do safely. I do think there's going to be some skepticism about
it. Warranted skepticism,
Yeah.
You probably want to find someplace, like we're very lucky here. We have a fitness playground in our apartment complex that has like kind of a foamy surface. Because I taught one of my clients who we had trained were at the facility while it was still open, and during the shutdown she contacted me. She saw the rope jumping videos. She's like, I'd like to jump rope. She's fit. She's late 60s, and she tried a little bit of jumping on asphalt, and it would have taken a lot of extra coaching for her core. Like, her back was a little sore after, but she did fine. You met Kate.
Yeah.
On the surface. It might be something to coordinate getting jump rope mats. And so if you create a program, and part of the program is these are expats who do have disposable income, they can, you find a good vendor for jump rope mats for them to buy. Then, and if they're going to drive to where you're doing it, then that's all thing. They could bring their mat, and but you're probably going to need to like space out and figure out other, if you're going to teach a class, it's not going to be all rope jumping, or so.
Yeah.
To make it fun, you're going to want to figure out some other activities, or if it's more clinical or something, coaching, just all the stuff around it to warm up and everything.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how my style is for coaching individuals, but it can also be done the way we did the senior center, where there's a lot of goofy games.
Yeah, for that audience, Matt, the percentage of jump rope would go down, and the percentage of either calisthenics or games or partner drills, once those are permitted, would go up, because you wouldn't want to take the risk of somebody being sore. I mean, let's not even think about injury, but just sore knee, sore hip, sore back, they may not come back. But I think if it's well balanced, then there's a really nice opportunity there. And how cool that,
Yeah.
I mean,
There definitely are tons. The silver sneakers class that was at our local place, which used to get 50 people, about 20% did jumping jacks. And I mean, this is a fit community, but then some people were not even getting up from their chairs. So you might think, out of a community, at least 20% probably is no problem. It's just a matter of whether adding the rope, are they going to jump too high? So, you might.
I have a suggestion, Matt. What you may want to try with that crowd, I work in movements with the rope that don't include jumping. So, so you can just Google their myriad moves that you can do with the jump rope that don't include jumping. So that might be one. And then the format that I use the middle of my class for HIIT, we do 5 rounds of 50 seconds jumping, 10 seconds rest, 50 seconds of an exercise, rest, 50 jump, 10 rest, 50 exercise, rest, 50 jumping. So we do 5 rounds of that. And then in between each of those rounds, we rest 1 minute. So that takes me through almost like 20, 5, and then plus 1, 6. So that's 30 minutes of the class, almost 30 minutes. So that's one thing that you possibly could do.
Good.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
It could be as little as 20, depending on, you know what I mean? Like
yeah, but
I like 3 of those rounds instead of 5.
Yeah, no, Kendall, that's a great approach, and it keeps it moving. There's no boredom. I like it. I think that's a great idea. Just getting active with the rope, and another time maybe we can show you some other things that you can do. Maybe Shana will show you right now, just something simple like stir the pot, which is so silly, but it's also a good way to hypnotize yourself. See if you can see this.
So you practice standing on one leg.
And then all kinds of swings, rope swings, and behind the back and through the legs. And like Kendall said, all these non-impact or low-impact moves.
Balance.
And it can be more intense, just side swings. Which,
that is intense.
yeah, we didn't go over side swings, but that's,
right.
You can really work up a sweat just doing side swings. So anyway, great suggestions. That was awesome.
Yeah, and if you need to build up a lot of movements and you haven't had training, there's like so much free stuff on the internet. And the official Silver Sneakers gives some formats too that, just if you just need some ideas like, what's mobility movements, that aren't from your typical boot camp, because there's like, you go to boot camp things, it'd be like everything is squat jumps and frog jumps and things, but there's a lot of good.
But I think a general concept that we should all keep in mind is, do people like me do things like that? And so there's a stereotype of people of a certain age not jumping rope or not playing a sport. And we have to somehow combat those stereotypes and myths. And one way to do it is show images of people doing the very thing that your target audience thinks can't be done. And so that's why I was saying we can share pictures to all of you if that's of use. And then I definitely encourage you all to start documenting, taking photographs, taking videos, because that's going to be your number one, marketing approach, is to show what you've done and how it's going and all the smiles and the success stories and the testimonials. So.
Oh, I have a video of our friend with Parkinson's.
Yeah, we've been teaching a gentleman with Parkinson's.
He's great. How old is
he? He's in his mid-60s, and he's doing really well. You would not think of someone with Parkinson's jumping rope. We also worked remotely with a fellow in the UK who has cerebral palsy. and you would not think of someone with cerebral palsy as being able to jump rope, but he was able to. And you know, the list kind of goes on and on. So think broadly, lots of possibilities.
Yeah.
What else, guys? Anything else you want to kick around? Or
I mean, you know, we're pretty thankful to CrossFit and the cross rope brand. I mean, when we started, I think the biggest challenge was rope jumping was not particularly popular.
No.
It has gotten a lot.
It's gotten a lot more popular.
More people, yeah.
And thanks.
I will say this. This is a plug. I love the rope you guys sent, and I plan to buy more because I have been jumping, you know, with the speed rope for you know, in CrossFit, which, you know, tears up my arm every time I get hit.
Oh, you mean I call it a cable rope. There's different.
Right, that's literally what it is.
Metal in it, yeah.
Yes, and I have a weight rope too, but I love your ropes, and I'll be getting more for sure.
Oh,
so
thank
if you haven't tried their ropes, I recommend them.
Yeah.
They're nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, guys, I totally agree. They're fantastic. Fantastic ropes.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you. We still have a sale through December 31st. And I know it's probably not the nicest thing to say, but the discount code is COVID sucks. It's all caps, and that gets you 19% off any rope through December 31st. And then, of course, for instructors, if you ever wanted to make a bulk order because you want to launch a class, just let us know, and we'll give you a good price. But we really appreciate the referrals and the kind words. Means a lot to us. What else? Anything else? Any good jokes?
I could rattle on. We had
yeah,
so much
we can go on and on.
Experiences.
Why don't we?
I think the one thing to point out, I don't know, is anybody a personal trainer? You know, or if you aspire to doing workshops like we have, where you train other instructors. You can download apps where you can shoot video of your student. Like, you wouldn't do this for a class most likely, but say, you know, in the downtime after, something that, you know, if you had your phone and the app ready, you could, one of your students offer to take a short video of them, and then it's so much easier to see what's going on. So Coach's Eye is one brand, and then I've been using the one Huddle, HUDL. And as opposed to just the regular camera on your phone, which if your phone and the camera on it and the video, you're already able to do slow motion, great, maybe you don't need it. We're used to like not really being able to sustain slow motion on the regular iPhone anyway. So the app allows you to take the video and then also actually draw lines to show, like, you know, there's like, Tim does this thing where you can stop and then you see where the rope is right before the person jumps. I don't know if that's going to make sense to you all. Like, how soon, some people jump way too soon and you'll see it and their feet are off the ground and the rope is up there. And so the objective is to have, you know, you're only leaving the ground right as that rope just before it's going underneath. That's getting more efficient. And so, you know, obviously their main problem is jumping too soon, but you'll be able to see that. And people, when they see themselves, granted, it's very mortifying for all of us. Like, I'm doing that, I'm jumping that. It really is very helpful, you know. And so,
yeah, because you can play it back frame by frame, and there are things you can see at that speed that you could never see with the naked eye.
There's multiple you can have it at,
you can draw
half
on
speed,
it,
quarter speed, eighth speed, so it can be like ridiculously slow. I don't know if I can show Kate here really slow. So here's my student, and it's going so slow.
And Kate's how old?
Kate's in her late 60s.
Late 60s.
I think she's like probably going to be 70 next year.
Yeah.
She just became a grandma right there.
So very useful app, not expensive. One is free. The other might be free too. There might be a free version.
Remember, it wasn't significantly expensive, but the thing that's annoying, both apps just constantly ask you to subscribe to some like more expensive subscription, which allows you, they have these things like community boards and you could post and I don't know. It's never been anything we needed to do.
Yeah.
And even just having that, you can usually figure out how to share the video with your student, but you might need, that's going to depend on what their technology is and stuff. And, you know, anyway, you get into that and have more questions you can ask. I always just figure that stuff out with sort of like, you know, as you go, so to speak. But I found that one, I was able to just share the video. Problem is sometimes you have to store it in your phone for them to see it. And then when you delete it, they won't see it anymore unless they were able to download it. So that's a whole other issue, a technology issue. And some of you may be smarter than we are about that. Just be careful about that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just really a good tool to see at the time. There's usually no need to save these things.
But guys, thank you again. This was great. It was really nice to meet everybody. And please stay in touch. Feel free to reach out again. I'll get those. Aw, there's Zoile's son.
I saw Kai's dog too before too. Lost Kai.
We'll get those certificates out to you either tonight or tomorrow. And I'll be sending it by email. It'll be a PDF, so something you can print out and frame if you want to. Yeah, happy holidays.
All right.
Let's hope for a better 2021 and all good things, right? All right, you guys.
Thank you. Nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet everybody.
Bye.
We'll
Good
see you
luck.
soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks, Matt.